The XZ1 and the XZ1 Compact are the latest Android smartphones from Sony Xperia. I'm Jon from GadgetsBoy and this is our review. Let's take a look at the design. So for me, I'm really liking the look of what Sony's done with the XZ1. It's quite a different look to what everyone else is doing with smartphones at the moment. As you can see along the top, it's quite boxy. They have included a headphone jack, which is good. And as it's an IP rated phone, they've got a seal here for your SIM card and memory. And then, as you'll notice, the memory card comes out separately. The SIM card has its own tray, so if you don't want to change your SIM card every time you pull out your memory card, I think that's quite a nice little feature. On the bottom, it's USB Type-C, which everyone seems to be going with now, so I think that's quite good to standardize that. On the side, we've got a quick access to the camera function, and it also doubles as a shutter for the camera while you're shooting. And we've got the power button here, and a volume rocker just on the side. On the back, we don't have a dual camera. We just have a single lens, and we've got an NFC marker and the flash. And yeah, overall, I think it's a really nice kind of understated design. I do like the hard edges at the top. Like I said, it's quite a unique look. And I actually prefer the smaller compact version, 4.6 screen, that's 5.2. I feel like this kind of, even though it's a little bit thicker, for me this just fits a bit better in the hand, goes nicely in my pocket. So I prefer the compact version. But again, if you look at this compared to the Pixel, yeah, it's not a big phone. Now let's take a look at the software. As you'd expect with a Sony phone, there is unfortunately quite a bit of bloatware that you cannot get rid of. So let's take a look at my apps. As you can see, I've got, this typical stuff like YouTube, but then there's all these ones that came with the phone that I don't necessarily need. So you got Xperia Transfer, Amazon Prime Video, Kindle, Amazon Shopping, Kobo Books, PalliPower, that's definitely mine. Spotify came loaded on it and I can't get rid of it. So that's one of the things that, some people do have gripes with the Sony phones. They do come with a lot of bloatware and you can't remove those apps from the phone. So that is, for me, it's a bit of a negative. But I mean, I just uninstalled them to the most basic version. They don't take up too much room, so it's not the end of the world, but I'd prefer to not have that. But it does run Android 8, which I think it was the first Android phone to come with Android 8 installed. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I think one of the things I like about the phone is everything is really easy to find. It's a typical Android layout, so it's quite basic. Everything's really obvious. Great stats for your battery, so you can monitor your power usage. It also has stamina and ultra stamina mode, so if you need to, if you're on your way home and you're finding your battery's running quite low, just pop it into that, and I can get 3 more days of use from 80%. So while we're actually here, I did forget to mention during the display section that there is, they do have bezels, which everyone's kind of moving away from that trend, but Sony's made great use of that space by including stereo speakers on the front. So you can see top and bottom, and that is really good for when you're watching media. Now let's get into my favorite part, the camera section. Now both of these phones both have a 19 megapixel camera on the back, whereas on the front you get a wider lens on the compact and you get a higher resolution on the XZ1. So there's different choices there for depending on what you're going to need, but overall the resolution is quite good. Let's get into the interface. I mean, straight away as you open it, you've got your settings here on the left. Tap in for more. I mean, they've gone really quite in depth with the amount of things you can change and adapt. You can change your storage, change what quick launch does. You can actually turn off the camera sound, which in Japan is illegal to do, but out here you are allowed. You got all the different custom settings here for the camera. It's quite good. Let's go back. And then if you swipe to the left, you've got manual photography mode. So you can change settings like your shutter speed, increase that to get more better exposure. You've got exposure value, auto ISO, which I prefer. Let's leave that on auto. And out of manual photography mode, we have superior auto. And to the right of that, we've got the video. And then the big selling point for the Sonys is when you're in video, you just tap this button here and you get super slow motion, which is actually really cool. And then I haven't actually found a great use for it, but it's a fun little novel thing to be able to do. I'm sure if you're more creative than I am, you could come up with some really cool stuff to do in slow motion.
You haven't spoken about any video stuff like 4K and stuff like that?
Resolution, oh yeah, sure. While we're in video, you can see here that the full resolution you have on this phone actually goes up to 4K. Let's take a look at the video settings. So here you've got recording format, so you can record in standard H.264. You also have Sony's Steady Shot, which is really good for kind of keeping the footage stable and steady if you're walking and shooting, I think that's a nice touch. You've got object tracking, which is quite intelligent. And then let's go on to video resolution. So this actually does Full HD at 60 frames per second and 4K video, which is really, really impressive. I know everyone's starting to go down the UHD route, but it's good to see Sony keeping up. Having used the XZ1 and XZ1 compact for quite some time, I must say I was a little bit disappointed with the camera. I mean, yeah, it does have a 19 megapixel sensor, it's good resolution, but the quality just isn't quite there. Not especially when you're comparing it to what Google's done with the Pixel, what some of the other companies like Huawei have done. I think I really expected a bit more from the camera of the XZ1. The video quality, on the other hand, is amazing, and especially the slow motion mode. I did take it on holiday with me, and I got some really nice slow motion footage of the sea, so I think the video is probably the strongest point of the XZ1's camera. Now, did I forget to mention the 3D scanning feature? So the 3D create mode is actually something that's quite unique to the Sony phones, but also, I mean, Apple are doing the whole face scanning thing too, but what Sony's done is built this into the DNA of their phone. So they've got, a whole tutorial section where you can scan people's heads, you can scan food, you can also scan random objects. Now, some people might accuse Sony here of creating a gimmick, but I think the 3D scanning has a lot of potential. I mean, even Apple's gone down the Face ID route. And one of the things you can do with the 3D scanning is you can create 3D prints of your head or an object that you've scanned. And one of the exciting things is you can incorporate those 3D scans into software. So you can create a miniature version of yourself in Facebook and be your own emoji. I think that's kind of cool. And the potential for that, you could maybe put that you could scan yourself and put it in a computer game or something like that down the road. I don't know, but I think that's kind of cool. That wraps up our Sony XZ1 and XZ1 compact review. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the section below. In the meantime, subscribe. I've been John, and this is GadgetsBoy.